loud.
Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory, presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our tremendous partners in Possible. They are the banking solution for the KCSN Draft Guide. They are an incredible partner of ours, and we're so grateful for them. I'm grateful for Maddie Lane hanging out with me on a Wednesday night. Matthew, how we feeling?
It's a big day, Kent. We found out who the Chiefs are playing, when they're playing, where they're playing, how they're playing. We know every single thing about it. We had no idea up until today. Really, at 8 o'clock Eastern is when we all found out everything that was happening. Nobody knew anything before. It was such a great way to spend the night tonight, was watching the TV or watching the KC Sports Network YouTube channel, and Tucker D, the D stands for going live all the time, Franklin, talking about the Chiefs schedule release. So, listen, I think everybody, it's peak right now. This is like a Super Bowl, really.
This is I know this is Maddie Lane's favorite episode of the year. I know
Top
that.
tier.
I know
right?
that.
I mean, it goes day 3 of the draft and then this.
Let's get right to it. Just like the bracket release, they're just
really? No more banter.
They get it lost in the first minute or so. We're gonna get the schedule. We'll just give you the schedule right off the top, because I know everybody that's watching this has not seen it. So we will just we'll get going here. Week 1 at the Chargers in Brazil. Week 2 home slate on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. Then on 9/21, the Giants in New York on Sunday Night Football. Week 4 at home against the Ravens at 3:25 p.m. on a Sunday. Week 5 is at the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday Night Football. The Detroit Lions come to Arrowhead the next week for Sunday Night Football. Then the Las Vegas Raiders in the first noon game of the year will be in Kansas City. Then the Washington Commanders on Monday Night Football again the next week. That would be week...
Whoa.
What? Whoa, what?
Oh, I was just reacting to the Commanders game that's going to be on a Monday night.
Week 8. Then at the Buffalo Bills in November, a 3:25 game. And then a bye. A bye, y'all. Goodbye. Late season bye. We love to see it. We love to see it. The Denver Broncos, the Kansas City Chiefs will play the Denver Broncos at 3:25 the next week. That would be week 11. Then the Indianapolis Colts come to town for yet another noon game.
Woo!
Only bad teams playing at noon. On Thanksgiving Day, the Kansas City Chiefs will play
a holiday.
The Dallas Cowboys at 3:30. Then the Houston Texans will come to town for yet another Sunday Night Football game.
Big rematch.
12/7, December 7th. Week 15, the Los Angeles Chargers come to town for a noon game. Again, only bad teams.
Wait, again?
Mm-hmm.
They play them twice?
Mm-hmm. Yes, every year. Then the Chiefs will go to Nashville for another noon slate.
Oh, that's
against
drivable.
the Tennessee Titans. And then on Christmas Day, the Kansas City Chiefs will be playing the Denver Broncos on the Christmas night
holiday
game. Yeah. To close things out, January 4th, the Chiefs will be playing, or TBD, the Chiefs will be playing the Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas. I have a friend trying to get me to go to that one, so we'll see.
Oh, wow. Ending it with the divisional game, huh?
In Vegas.
Wow.
So there's your schedule. We've known the teams forever. What are your initial thoughts here, Matthew?
I think it's just absolutely mind-blowing that they play these teams. And these are the home games and the away games. We didn't know that. Yeah, it's crazy. Good schedule, I guess. I don't know. I can't keep it up anymore, Can't. I don't have thoughts. I don't have thoughts on schedule release day. They just don't do much for me. I think it generally seems like a good schedule. I like having a late bye week. I think that a late bye week is pretty nice. They have a good mix of you don't have like a long road stretch, right? What you have the most they have is 2 back-to-back road games. There's a bye wedged in between there. So like that's pretty good. That's pretty nice.
It does feel like the Chiefs' toughest games in general are like at home. Like I feel like it's very
Yeah.
heavy loaded for like the Chiefs to be playing their, you're getting the Eagles at home, the Ravens, the Lions, Commanders, you're getting, the Texans.
Yeah.
You're getting all those teams at home. It feels like the road slate, like if you're looking at home versus road slate, it does feel like the home slate is a lot more challenging, which I think you would probably prefer if you're the Chiefs. So like there's not a ton of difficult road games that you're really paying attention to. So like I think that's one of the big things for me.
Yeah, and then like even still like the tougher games are broken up with a little bit of like a reprieve in between them. It's right. It's not like 2, 3, 4 really difficult games back to back. I mean, realistically, if we're looking at it, Denver and like the Chargers technically made the playoffs, right? So like you do have a couple times where you have back-to-back games against playoff teams, but like, you're just not playing a bunch of them in a row. You're not playing anybody that made it past like the wild card round back-to-back weeks. I don't think besides Washington, Buffalo back-to-back, like that's the only time, right? So it's just, yeah, it seems like the schedule is sorted in a way it's pretty nice for the Chiefs. I think that's nice coming off of last year where it didn't seem like that was the case. There was a hell of a stretch there. All the rest periods were real small. I haven't done all the math on the rest or anything like that, but this just seems more normal. Outside the holiday games, this seems a lot more normal in terms of spacing, and I do like how it does seem like it's almost every other game is your quote unquote difficult games.
It's I do like, you did talk about like the rest edge or the rest struggles, like this team, just the slog that they were putting themselves through because the NFL is a just machine that won't stop, and trying to squeeze a Tuesday football game on Christmas Day and try to make all that math work or make all those kind of make sense. And now you're getting a little bit more normal because Christmas is on a Thursday. T. Smith makes the comment, "Hey, no 3 games in 10 days." Like that's absolutely significant. I think just having it a little bit more normal. Like the Chiefs definitely last year you saw it the same thing, right? Like the Chiefs were a hot ticket, they were a hot commodity, and you were seeing them be featured like as much as possible in as many different places as they possibly can. And that was at the detriment of player health and safety. 3 games in 10 days gave them a big old break at the end of that season, which was kind of sick though. But it does feel like you're right. Like there's not like these just giant jarring spots where you're just like, oh, this team's going to be, struggling outside of, they do have 2 Thursday football games. Like, so there is that. They are getting an extra Thursday night football game.
Yeah.
And they do have to play on Christmas Day again. But yeah, I think it lays out pretty well for them. I like how it kind of fits, if I'm being honest. And the teams are always going to be the teams, and like the order and the bye. The bye is always just so crucial, and getting a really sound like middle of the season bye, I think is pretty important too.
Yeah, and I think it comes in a pretty good spot. We're going to talk about tough stretches and stuff later, but I think it comes in a good spot, right? You're coming off of probably what's going to be a pretty tough stretch of the schedule, and then you get a bye before you have to kind of recenter to get that divisional game against the Broncos, which I think that's only their second divisional game. Oh, that's their third one, but you just get that break, like coming off the bye before you have the divisional game. So I like not only that it's later in the year, but I like kind of where the games they wedged it in between. I think there was earlier talk about maybe the bye being in week 8 and the Washington game being moved up there. I like this better, obviously, as a fan, for the later bye week. You want to push it back a couple spots. And then I just like the break coming after the Buffalo game versus right before it, knowing the Chiefs aren't going to show a lot for that game regardless. So yeah, generally speaking, I have zero complaints about the Chiefs schedule. Shocking, I know, but I have no complaints about what has come about at this very surprising release of the schedule at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
There was reason to be a little upset last year with the way it laid out. So that's nice. That's a little bit refreshing. The NFL made it very tough for the Chiefs to three-peat, and they were right on the doorstep of doing that. The Chiefs are playing in 7 primetime games this season.
I didn't know that was legal. I thought it was capped at 6.
Well, they are playing 7. However, that manifested itself. They've got a lot of standalone games. They're, week 1 against the Chargers in Brazil, week 3 on Sunday Night Football against the Giants, week 5 against the Jaguars on Monday Night Football, Lions the next week on Sunday night, Commanders week 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 standalone games in the first half of the season for the Chiefs too. Like, that is crazy. And you've got the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, you got Sunday Night Football, and you've got the Christmas game on the back end too. Like, that's insane. Is that technically 8? Are we 1, 2, 3?
The Thanksgiving game is not a primetime game because it's at 3:30. It's standalone, but it's not a primetime game.
Oh, okay. So that's how we're. That's kind of how we're.
That's still though. It's still 7 though, which again, I don't think that's never happened before, and I didn't even know that was allowed. Right? Like, they gave them most possible, and I think that's a little. I mean, not surprising, I guess, but like, I think it's weird that they have so many, because now let's say that week 15 game against the Chargers ends up being like for first place of the division. Can you really flex them into another primetime game at that point in time of the season? Like, what, you're already shoving the Chiefs down everyone's throats. Are you going to go ahead and flex it? I mean, probably. The NFL saying, we don't care. You're going to watch the Chiefs and you're going to like it or you're going to hate it, but you're going to watch it, and the numbers bear it out. So like, get over it if you don't like it, right? Like, who cares? But that's a lot of primetime games. I have seen some people, both Chiefs fans and non-Chiefs fans, kind of complain about the primetime games, the amount of them. And I know some people don't like the night stuff. Some people definitely don't like the holiday stuff. And, I've heard the arguments. I see it. I know there's plenty of people at KCSN that don't like the holiday games or even all the night games, but like, can't there. So I don't know. Don't mind it. I like the holiday games in particular. I get they put some people out, and I think I'm joining Seth Kaiser on this one somehow. I don't mind it. Long term, you're raising the perception, you're spreading the potential for more people to become Chiefs fans. And as a Chiefs fan outside of Kansas City, the more popular they get, the more games I get to watch without having to buy a Sunday ticket. I'm sorry. I love getting to go to the bar or the gym and knowing that somebody there watched the Chiefs game. That's a lot cooler than having nobody have watched the Chiefs game. So like, I don't mind them being all as much as possible. I know some people don't. And like, I get it being local, especially how it's less cool. But on the outside, like, hey, the more they're on the TV for me, which does include these island games, the better. So bring all the holiday games, bring all the primetime games, makes it a lot more fun for me.
You heard it here first. Matty Lane's willing to sacrifice family time on holidays to do the post-game shows so that the off chance he can make a friend at the gym.
Correct. You summed it up perfectly.
The loneliest man in case
the Cowboys still have 6 primetime games, and they haven't won a playoff game in Tucker's lifetime, but they're on TV as much as anybody else. I would love for the Chiefs to get to that level to where when they don't have Patrick Mahomes and they are not the best team in the NFL, because that, unfortunately, despite my contributions to modern medicine, I haven't quite solved the aging issue just yet. So eventually Mahomes won't play for them. I would love to still see the Chiefs on primetime 6 times in a season so that I continuously get to watch them. I'm not going to complain about that going forward. Like, I can't be on that side of it. I would love for the Chiefs to get to the Cowboys or Giants level of popularity where everyone's like, oh man, we have to watch them again, because again, I don't live in Kansas City. So like, put them on my TV as much as possible.
What contributions to modern medicine have you made?
Well, I dabble over here. I dabble over there. I did some blood work one time.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just making sure. So if you're looking at kind of how the roster or how the schedule lays out, I think you talked about it a little bit earlier, but like, is there a stretch in this schedule that you just think is like the most challenging for them?
Okay, I do want to jump forward. I was just going to ask you real quick before we moved off the primetime games. How do you think the team as a whole, like the Chiefs, handles so many people being upset that they're on TV all the time, right? Like, do you think that matters to the team at all? Do you think that gets back to players, to coaches, that everyone's going to be complaining that this team is on TV 7 times on these standalone games or 8 times in these standalone games? Oh, and by the way, they also have another documentary coming out showcasing them. Oh, we didn't even talk about that yet. The Chiefs have a documentary coming out talking about how they couldn't three-peat, by the way. That's fun. So that's awesome to see. So like, that's coming up next too. Just like, how do you think that like affects the locker room?
I mean, the locker room side of it, I don't know. I'm sure there's not a lot of people super thrilled with it, but like, when you're in the slog of the season and knowing how experienced this team is with handling these playoff or these holiday games and these wonky schedules, I do think like the competitor side of the team is probably going to look at it as an advantage. Like I think they'll see it and say, we've been through this. We know how to do this. We know how to handle all the stress, all the strain. We know how to handle the schedules. We know how to handle all of these, holiday games because we are in them all the time. So I think there's probably, I'm sure there's going to be external frustrations with like the families. Like, I don't think my wife's thrilled that we have 2 post-game shows to do on the 2 biggest holidays of the year. Thank God we do a lot early in the day, both of those holidays. We're 11 a.m. Thanksgiving family. So like the turkey is ready at 11 a.m. here in KC or in at home. And then we do a lot of our stuff on Christmas Eve, and then we do Christmas morning stuff. And like, so it could be worse for sure.
Right. I mean, like, listen, I don't mean to say that it's like awesome that it, that the games fall this way and that like people don't get to spend time with their families if they want to watch the Chiefs. But like, let's call a spade a spade. Whether it was the Chiefs or not, you were probably going to be watching football on those 2 days. So like, you might have to sit down and podcast later, but the majority of people listening to this, the majority of us talking here, we're going to be watching whatever football game was on anyway. It might as well be the Chiefs. I do enjoy this year that the Christmas game is at night, a normal nighttime game, and not in the middle of the day.
I appreciate that.
That was a lot more disruptive. That was a lot more disruptive than what this is. Thanksgiving at this point in time is already a football day. It's barely a holiday anymore. It's an eating and football day, as all Thanksgiving is anyway. So why not have the Chiefs play on that?
It's just really eating into my ability to have seconds is what's happening. It's eating into that window too. I'll ask the question about the toughest stretch right after this break.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It's playoff time, and if you're still just watching games, then you're missing out. With Pick 6 from DraftKings, you can turn your hoops knowledge into real cash. Just make your picks, track your score, and if you hit all 6, you're looking at bigger payouts than Prize Picks flex plays. Nobody's dropping better payouts than Pick 6. Hit 6 picks, and that's 25 times your cash. And if you beat your competitor, you could be looking at a 500 times bag in your pocket. And right now, new customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot at making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins, only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Thanks everyone hanging out with us on a Wednesday night and a big schedule release night. We've been waiting for it. I can I say, so I do this. I'm a pretty normal guy. I do this one weird thing. I like to rewatch the NFL
shove
draft
Reese's
coverage.
peanut butter cups and assault it with whatever coconut candy and almond joy. Is that the one weird thing you do?
No, that's delicious. I didn't say I do one delicious thing. I like to rewatch the coverage of the NFL draft. Like, it's just something that I've always, I love the draft. Always have, always will. We don't get the luxury of getting to watch the coverage because we're doing our coverage ourselves. So I like to go back and I like to check out like, the NFL draft cover or the NFL network coverage, the ESPN coverage. Anyways, the sidebar was the when they made the announcement night one, and it was Colleen Wolf having to like enthusiastically talk about the date of the schedule release date. She had to go on stage at the NFL draft in front of millions of people and make this announcement. And the announcement was that they have a date for when the schedule will be released. The fake enthusiasm was Oscar worthy. It was incredible. It made me laugh so hard when I was watching that the other day. I was like, they really did that. They really had someone step out there and get on stage in front of all these people just to tell you the date that the schedule will be announced.
They've made it a bit, man. Credit to the NFL. They have found a way to stay relevant and at the front page of everything all the time. And they said, we have a ton of eyes on us at this draft. We're going to make sure that we have an announcement coming on. So you got to give it to the NFL as much as a dog and pony show it is. I did see this, I want to shout out Dub Freak Freer. I do it's just talking about being an international fan and having to deal with primetime games. I do have, that sucks. All right. That sucks from the primetime perspective. If that is your complaint about primetime games, I think that is very fair and that is very valid. That's unfortunate. And while the Chiefs are, popular with Mahomes, that's going to be a lot of late nights or watching recordings in the morning, which is unfortunate. You had a sidebar. I'm getting back to a sidebar I was trying to get into.
Oh, no.
Documentary. What do you thoughts, takes?
On the Dynasty documentary.
Yeah, we're on a path to like a 30-minute episode here, so I feel like a couple off ramps that we hit, a little detour here and there is acceptable. So like the Chiefs or the NFL Chiefs, whoever announced that the Disney Plus and Skydance and ESPN, Skydance Sports have come together. They're about to sometime in the fall during the next season. They're going to release a documentary about how the Chiefs 2024 season went as they strive to go for a 3-peat, and apparently is going to cover the entire history of the Chiefs, but all of the new footage and original footage is going to be coming from the 2024 season, behind the scenes look at the players' lives and stuff like that. So what are your thoughts on this?
It's obviously not as fun as watching quarterback knowing that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl while they're following Mahomes around. And it's not as fun to watch content knowing how the movie ends, because spoilers, worst ending ever. I'm going to watch every bit of it. I'm going to watch every second of it. I love even glimpses of authenticity, right? And it's really difficult to capture that all the time, right? It's difficult to see all of that from that perspective. And I love every little bit of it. And they teased, Mahomes asking the camera to get turned off at one point in one of the videos and stuff like that. It's a little bit more behind the scenes authenticity that we don't get to see very often. And so I think that'll be pretty fun. I'm pretty excited about, showing the good and the bad on both sides of things. I think that's going to be pretty cool. So I will watch it, even though maybe I'll just not watch the last 15 minutes of it. Right. I think it's a 6-part series. I'll watch 5.5.
Yeah. I'm excited for it too. And I can't wait to watch it. I watched all of quarterback, and you're right. How that ends. So that's, it's a happier thing going into it. It's I'll definitely watch it. I'm excited to. When I saw it, it popped into my mind. The funniest thing about the Chiefs, they have given so much access to doing these documentary type things, whether it was quarterback or these random little shows where they have that running series that they do all the time. And yet
does an incredible job. Love
yeah, no, they do. And it's all really good. And they give so much access to that kind of stuff, this behind the scenes, hey, this is kind of the journey the team is on. They do so much of that, and it's fun to watch, and stuff like that. But they are so tight-lipped about anything that's actually football related. It's just so tight-lipped. You look at some other teams and they have had coaches that are going on there and talking about game plans and films. The Eagles are releasing a 20-minute video talking about how they're operating in the war room for the draft. And the Chiefs would rather die than let you see what their war room looked like. They would rather pull off their toenails than let you get a glimpse of like what's going on in a meeting room. Like Sean McVay released the Rams released Sean McVay introducing Devontae Adams and showing highlights of what he's going to do and introducing him to the team. The Chiefs would rather smash their thumbs with hammers than stuff like that. But they want to give all this access to these documentaries. It's just a funny like dichotomy of like what they're trying to do there. And I think it's very clear where Andy has full control and where maybe Clark Hunt is saying, "Hey, let's do this cool idea." I don't know. I just find it funny.
I think there is like the Chiefs do provide access, but I do think that they like to provide access in ways that gives them final say, right?
Yes.
And like you still get a behind the scenes view of some of the stuff that happens out there, right? Like so you can still see some of it. But there's always a line that's, there's a line that is drawn, and it is definitely, even with the, some of the content that they produce, when they produce some tremendous stuff, there's still very much a tighter line than a lot of other teams might be, like you just mentioned, like the Rams. And so like, I don't think the Chiefs really are gung-ho about Hard Knocks, right? Like there's been some talk that they're not gung-ho about Hard Knocks, right? And that's because I think there's a little bit less creative control there. Potentially there's, it's probably more closely aligned with like your quarterback documentary. No, I
just find it funny. Yeah, I just find it funny because they will not, if it's something that I think is geared towards, football nerds, the Chiefs aren't going to release a lot of it. If it's geared towards more of like, and I don't say this in like a derogatory way, but more of a casual fan, they are all about right now getting as much of that out there. And like going back to my point earlier about playing primetime games and holiday stuff, that's awesome. Make them as widely known as you can. Put as much stuff out there for people to just draw them in. So like, it's just funny seeing the difference in the split. And I think you're right. There's like when they can get the creative control that says, this is what we don't want in there at all. Fine, we'll do anything as long as we can say that. And everything that they're not going to show is the football stuff. And they'll show you everything else around it, which is fine. It's cool. It's a lot of fun. We're all going to watch it. It's just funny how it all plays out.
If the team were to be doing a lot of content in 2025, we would know the schedule by which they would be filming. And my question to you, Maddie, is I'd like to know what you think the toughest stretch of this schedule that you might get a chance to see behind the scenes. Yeah, look what I did there. Look at that transition. What do you think's the toughest part of this schedule for this team?
I
have takes.
I don't think there's a spot that stands out as the toughest, as we talked about earlier. All the really difficult games are broken up with nice. There's no easy game in the NFL, but there's a huge difference between playing the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants. There's a wide gap between the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay. So like every single tough game is almost broken up with a slightly easier game in between them. So finding a whole stretch is kind of difficult. So
I have an answer.
Okay. Yeah. Do your answer.
I looked at it a little bit differently than you did, right? Because like if you go 1 week to week, right? There's not a super clear 3-week slog.
Yeah.
But the month of September looks a little salty, Maddie.
Okay.
The month of September looks a little bit, salty. You're getting the Chargers week 1. Then you're having to turn around and play the Eagles. Giants, cool. Moving on. The Ravens. Like I know your two toughest games in that stretch are at home, but like we've talked about, most of the tough games are already at home. I think the month of September, like if we'll look at it from a month to month perspective, I think September is the toughest month for this team. I think there's one other contender though.
Yeah, and I probably was going to go there because it is a Brazil game, which is an international game, and now thankfully with the Brazil game, it's just a long travel. They still play in a similar time zone. You're not having to worry about all the body clock and stuff like that playing there, but you still do go play overseas in an international game to open up the season. And then you get the Eagles coming off of a longer rest because they open up on the Thursday night. Not the Chiefs play Friday, so it's only a 1 day difference, but still. And then the Giants game's it's a night game coming right after that. Not a big deal necessarily to play the Giants, but then following it right up with Baltimore. So yeah, that's probably a tough schedule, just dealing with the traveling to Brazil, back home, to New York, back home. You have two very difficult teams there, plus a division rival. So like that is probably a tough month. My other contender, I guess, would be Detroit, Las Vegas, Washington Commanders, and Buffalo Bills. Like the 4-game stretch heading into the bye week is probably your top to bottom, your hardest 4 games in a row. And it's not necessarily that the Raiders are going to be great or anything like that, but it's a divisional opponent. So you never expect it to be just a rollover team. I do think Pete Carroll's going to have them playing really hard. So whether or not the Chiefs are favored in that game, or I'm not saying they're the same level as the other 3, but that Raiders team, I think, will play hard at that moment in time. So that's 4 games in a row that might be, pretty tough to go through just back to back to back to back. But then you go into the bye week after. So that's what you have to look forward to. So yeah, I don't think this is like the past couple years where there's multiple hard stretches you're choosing between. I think it's just which one of these is the worst?
2 tough 4-game stretches before the bye, and also the Jaguars. That's how we have it here. That's how we framed it. So the first half of the season, I think you're saying is pretty tough.
But if I'm rating it like on the scale from 1 to 10 of like hard stretches,
we don't do scales on this show. What are you talking about?
That's right. If I'm rating this on a gas station scale of hard, with Quick Trip being the hardest and Shell being the softest of schedules, I think like those stretches are at tops Flying J. Tops, which just means like, and we're going to, if that was like a 1 out of 10 scale, this would be like, I don't know, a 6.5 or 7 out of 10 in terms of difficulty. Either one of those stretches, neither are overly difficult. That's just all I'm trying to say.
I think like if you're looking months to months, November has its challenges too. Like, you've got the Bills, Broncos, Colts, Cowboys, and you've got a bye in there at least too. Like the Cowboys could be salty, so it could be another 3 good teams in 4. I will say, I was going to ask you this. Do you think that the game out of the bye in Denver is their toughest divisional game?
No.
Okay. You think it's the Chargers?
I think it's going to be the Chargers in Brazil.
Okay. I don't
know. I'm trying to.
All right. Here's okay. The Chiefs are typically very good coming out the gate week 1. So I like that. I like that going for them. I like playing the Chargers early because Jim Harbaugh wants to run the football. You don't have the wear and tear of the season to worry about with that regard. Like I think they'll be good about stopping the run, and they've got a off season to prepare. I think the Broncos game is a little bit easier in regard to like, hey, they got the bye week there, which helps. I think at Denver is probably the toughest for me, even though I think there's a chance the Chargers wind up being second place in the AFC West.
So the thing is, the Broncos are not coming off a bye week. Their bye week is after that game. So the Chiefs will have the rest. Now, granted, they play the Raiders on Thursday Night Football before, so it's not as big of a rest advantage. But the Broncos are going Houston Texans, Cowboys, salty team, Texans, salty team, divisional opponent in the Raiders, then the Chiefs going into their bye week. So like you're kind of catching the Broncos at the end of a not super hard, but a slightly more difficult or like taxing stretch. And then the Chiefs are really good coming out of the bye week. That is typically where we start to see the Chiefs hone in on some stuff and start to change things. They will probably have learned a lot from that stretch that we talked about: Detroit, Vegas, Washington, Buffalo. So, I mean, yeah, it might be going on the road to Denver versus on the road to Brazil to face the Chargers might be a more difficult matchup on paper. I just think coming out of the bye week probably gives it enough of a boost that I'll say having to go play the Chargers in Brazil to start the season with the Eagles on deck is probably something that would constitute as more difficult.
All right, Maddie, I want to just do a speed round prediction of this win-loss record as we sit today, but here's how I want to do it. We have to be unanimous, and if we're not unanimous, it's a loss. Okay, so the tie goes to the loss.
I'm gonna pick all right. Losses. Go ahead.
Here we go. Okay, great. Let's honor the process here. All right, week 1 at the Chargers in Brazil. Win or loss?
Win.
Same. Week 2 against the Eagles. Win or loss?
Win.
Oh, I'm gonna call it a win.
You didn't want to, though. You were hoping I called it a loss so you could jump on it and you wouldn't catch all the heat. But since I said win, you were too terrified to stick to your guns and take it on the chin.
You're playing 4D chess because I think you knew that I knew that we knew. So you put the heat back on me.
I just did this one weird thing.
We'll move on to the Giants week 3 with a win, and we'll go ahead and go to week 4 automatically. Week 4 against the Ravens at home.
Loss.
Okay. I think so. I think 3-4. I think they're 3-4 in September, or 3-1 in September.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'll buy that. Yeah.
Jaguars week 5 on Monday Night Football in Jacksonville.
Win.
Lions at home Sunday Night Football.
Win.
Agreed. Raiders moving on. At
Win,
home.
but
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not as quick on that as you. I think the Raiders have done a pretty good job. It's a different staff. And I think they've played the Chiefs closer, but I'm going to give them a win here. I think it's not an easy game.
Okay. The Washington Commanders at home on Monday Night Football in week.
Win.
I agree. 7.
I went back and forth on that one. I'm not going to lie. I went back and forth on that one a little bit. I didn't know if they would pull it out or not, but I'm giving them the win.
Buffalo Bills in Orchard Park on November 2nd, week before the bye.
Win.
Loss.
Pick your favorite quarterback.
It's the cycle. It's the Bills Chiefs cycle. Chiefs lose in the regular season. Chiefs win in the regular or in the postseason when it matters. Who wins?
I was going to pick the Bills. I was going to pick the Bills there. I just wanted to see if you were going to stand alone and pick a loss or not. I had it as a loss.
At the Denver Broncos coming out of the bye in week 11.
Win.
Versus the Colts the next week. We're going win.
Yeah, win.
At the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
Win. Wow.
Win.
Cowboys.
Yeah. I feel like there's like, hey, the weird things happen when this team plays the NFC East. I've seen them have some back half of season stinkers like that one time against the Jets. I think or the Giants. I mean, like they've laid some eggs against the East. Texans at home.
Loss.
Fine. You think? Okay. Chargers at home.
Loss.
Really?
Back late in the season. Yeah, I think so.
That's where you think this little lull happens. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So we got them 10-4 heading in the back 3. Titans auto win.
Titans win.
Broncos.
Listen, I'll round it out. They win out the rest of the way. That's what I got.
I think so too. Broncos and Raiders to close things out. So we got them at 13-4. That probably gets in the 2 seed.
I think that just looking at it in general is what I'm looking at. You play Philly, Baltimore, Detroit, Buffalo. We'll say those 4 teams. Very, 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 very good teams. Legitimate Super Bowl contenders every single year right now. Splitting those 2-2 seems very regular season Chiefsy of them, right? So that's where 2 of the losses come from. Washington, Houston, and then I guess you could throw some of the Denvers in there, but really it was Washington and Houston to me. Those 2 teams, the Chiefs are definitely better than, but they're good enough that splitting those makes sense again for the Chiefs right now. Like one of those teams might come in with a little bit more of an A+ game plan to beat the Chiefs, and the Chiefs will have. They're talented enough that it can happen. So since I gave them Washington, the Houston was the loss, and then they're going to lay an egg at some point in time. And I just happened to pick the Chargers in a divisional game rather than the Colts or the Jags or whatever. So like that, the Chargers was just my egg laying game.
I really don't want it to be the Colts again. That one.
That team's not good. So
I know that one stung, dude.
You could sell me on just about any other team on here over the Colts because I just think they're pretty bad.
Jaguars.
I mean, you could sell me on it. I don't think it's good, but yeah, I know. So that's just kind of how I arrived there. Like if I was going to pick them to beat Philly, then I needed them to lose some other games. Like it's not super matchup dependent. Just, they're going to lay an egg. They're going to probably split against the other really good teams for a regular season game. I think there will be at some point in time, this team's going to have to figure out how to get over the hurdles of last year. And I think Houston and then Los Angeles, like the Chargers being a divisional game, they always play them tough. Houston has a pass rush that is usually how you give the Chiefs a little bit of trouble. It's not like the Chiefs were excellent against them last year either. So while I don't know if Houston's offensive line is going to be any good, I think their pass rush can give them some issues.
So that is it for our schedule recapping, but there was one other thing that Maddie Lane really wanted to talk about that we added to the end of this show.
I did.
And you have takes. I want to hear what these takes are. I'm fascinated.
I do, because all of a sudden, because the NBA lottery happened and the Dallas Mavericks somehow got the first pick in a silly scenario, all of a sudden now every like national media person is talking about how the NFL could add a lottery system and it could be good for the league and all this stuff. I'm like, why? What about the lottery system in the NBA has led anyone to thinking, the NFL should definitely do that? That's doing such a good job for the NBA. The NFL needs to adopt it. Is it the ratings? No. Is it the fact that it like stops teams from tanking? No. Like, what about a lottery system sounds appealing from everything we've seen about the NBA?
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. It actually looks rigged. The whole thing looks rigged. It looks like the
and I don't think it is
dying ratings because the NFL owns the NBA and they own Christmas Day now. They don't even get that anymore. They can't even have their own day. The NBA doesn't even have their own day anymore. They have nothing. So so Luka got traded to the Lakers for a bag of beans with a wink, wink, nod, that the 1.8% chance that the one team that would fuel a conspiracy theory would win the NBA lottery would. Do
you think more people watch the NFL schedule release or watch the Celtics in the Knicks game?
Schedule release. Oh, wait.
Probably.
The Knicks game. Sorry. I thought you were going to talk the lottery. Sorry. I thought you were going to say who won.
No, I'm talking about the playoff game. The playoff game that you had no idea was on TV.
Oh, that's still happening.
No, it's just, I don't understand the point of it. And like, I've tried to see some people's arguments for it. Like, oh, you don't want to reward tanking and losing. Nobody in the NFL tanks. The sport's too physically taxing to tank. You can't look anybody on your team in the eye besides like a rookie and be like, hey, we're going to purposely be worse this year while you go through a football game just so we can have more ping pong balls in a thick thing, or just so we can pick first. Nobody on that Titans team is going to be like, oh yeah, let me get my ass kicked for 17 games so we can draft Cam Ward out of Miami. Let me sign up. No one does that. Their careers are so much shorter. It's so much more physically taxing. Like, there isn't tanking. Now, do teams try to set themselves up for the future rather than right now? Sure, but that's not tanking. They're still going out there with every intention to win every single year, and you can't punish a team in the NFL because they're bad. We can't punish the Titans just because they made bad decisions, not like purposely wrong decisions, just they made bad choices. They had bad players. A ownership group and a coaching staff didn't set them up for future success. They had a couple bad luck stretches. That happens. You have to give them a way to get back into it. Or in the NFL, because you can't just draft one person or sign one person that changes everything about your team unless you hit a quarterback, you're going to be stuck in purgatory. You're going to be stuck as a bad team. There's no quick fixes in the NFL like there can be in the NBA if you have the money to do so. So like if you start introducing a lottery system, and what Detroit had like the highest odds to get the first pick in the NBA draft for like 3 seasons in a row or like 4 out of 5 seasons or something like that. And they never got it except for the one year it was a down draft class. Like imagine that's your case.
Because it's rigged.
Oh, you never get Caleb Williams. You never get Andrew Luck. These guys are going, you don't get Arch Manning. These guys are all going around the years that you don't get it, even though you were the worst team every single. That's just, I don't know. It doesn't work. I didn't think you had any other takes. I didn't think you were a lottery believer. I just think it's so silly.
For a variety of reasons. And like, if you look at, okay, so first off, I don't think NFL teams tank, just period. I think it's really hard to tank in general. And there's always guys that are motivated to try to win a football game. And you've seen the number 1 overall pick exchange hands in a meaningless game in week 18 multiple times over the last few years. Because I think it's harder to tank too. I think it's harder to tank in the National Football League because you got 53 players, you've got 53 guys putting out their blood, sweat, and tears. And in the NBA, it's easier to just say Joel Embiid's foot hurts for the rest of the season, or we're going to shut down the entire starting lineup of this team. It's a little bit easier to do that in the NBA, and it's a little bit more accepted, I think, too, especially when you're looking at an 81 game schedule, right? You can make the argument, okay, well, we've got 15 games left. We've already been eliminated. And, we're just going to try to help this guy rest up because we don't want him to go through 15 opportunities to lose a game. And in the NFL, it's a week to week thing. you see these teams, you see some of these teams shut guys down, but it's not 17 players. That doesn't send the right message for the culture of your organization. It doesn't send the right message to your team. It doesn't send the right message to the guys that are coming back the next season. It just doesn't make sense. And so I love that about the NFL. The whole other lottery thing too. If you're looking at like, okay, so all right, I don't know how many teams it would be. Non-playoff teams would be insane. Like that would be what? That would be 18 teams.
That's what everybody. Yeah, that's what people.
That's insane. That is insane. There are a lot of good teams that just their quarterback gets hurt, and the season's effectively over. And so we're gonna say, okay, the San Francisco 49ers, that's not even a great example. I'm just saying, like, the San Francisco 49ers picked 11th, and now they've got a chance to have the number 1 pick in the draft, like a legitimate, like that just doesn't seem right to me. I think that's crazy. And the league doesn't need that. The league doesn't need it. They create parity. You can turn a team over in a matter of one season. A good draft and a competent coach. It can turn things around quickly.
I think people get lost on what parity is. Parity doesn't mean that every single team has a chance to win the Super Bowl. Parity just means that like you all have the ability to attempt to build the team the same way. And that doesn't exist in a lot of other sports that don't have the same amount of salary cap control. Or when it comes to like with the draft, because of the salary cap control, bad teams don't have other avenues to getting better besides the draft. Like, yes, they can sign guys for more money, but there's a limit. There's a limit to how much money a team can spend. They can't just decide to pay whatever they want. I mean, I guess they can just get penalized, but it's like unrealistic, right? And so all of a sudden, like the NFL does a really good job of making sure that every single fan base, every single market cares about their team because there's a chance. There is hope for that team the following season, this season, the 2 seasons away. That's what creating parity is. It's about making every single team feel like they matter. And the NFL does a great job at that. Yeah, the teams that land quarterbacks are the ones that can win a Super Bowl. So if you look at the AFC, there's not a lot of Super Bowl contenders unless you have one of those elite quarterbacks. But go look at the NFC. Look at how many teams over there turn their team around in the past 5 seasons because of just like having early draft picks that hit and getting a new coaching staff and that knows what they're trying to do. And you might even have more, but you have multiple that have come up through that. That's less common with other sports. So it's just the NFL kind of has it figured out how to make essentially the most competitive league. Right now, they got it figured out. I don't think you need to mess with it. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. It's just become popular right now. I don't think that many people really want to do it. I just wanted to push back on the idea that it was even something the NFL should consider, or the NFL doesn't create parity because they 100% do. Like that is what the league does. And letting the Titans have the advantage of picking first helps that because now the Titans are they are a more appealing team to their own fans or other fans across the United States because they got Cam Ward. We didn't need the Pittsburgh Steelers made the playoffs. Whoever, I don't know, the Seattle Seahawks. We didn't need the Seattle Seahawks to get the first pick and get Cam Ward. Like that doesn't help the overall health of the NFL. The Titans getting him does though, right? And so like this is how the league stays on top and how you give every single team an opportunity to be just as good as anybody else. And like that is the way the NFL works and why it works so well.
I think like 80% of the content promoting the NFL lottery is bad faith. Personally, I think it's just clickbaity May content is what I think.
Smart.
I did see one comment that was really smart, just kind of about like, this is why the NFL owns the NBA, is that the NFL can make a small town in like the way the NFL is set up structurally with their rules. They can make a small town in Green Bay, Wisconsin, like relevant. And the NBA struggles to make small market teams relevant in their sport. And some of the stuff like the NBA lottery and the conspiracy theories surrounding the league's pushing of all these big market teams where all this big market stuff keeps happening in their favor, despite, the number 1 pick or the number 1 odds for winning the lottery, not winning it over the last whatever many years. For the last 5 or something crazy like that. The NFL is able to make small towns across the country relevant because they've structured it well. They structured their rules well. and the Green Bay Packers can be just as good as the team in San Francisco or New York, or the New York Giants and Jets can be just as bad as they want to be as well. So I think the NBA or the NFL's got it figured out. I don't want them to touch it. And I think it's kind of bad faith. Anyone that's kind of actually promoting it, honestly, most of it is bad faith. Yeah. Anything else?
Oh, no, that was it. I just want to talk about it a little bit. That was all. We're good. We got everything covered here. We talked about the schedule release that nobody knew about until tonight.
That's true. I'm very surprised to see the Chargers on there twice. That's going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
The Broncos are also on there twice. What?